Nothing could stop the Tigers last year as they rolled to the national title. Clemson won 13 of its 15 games by at least 20 points and throttled the Crimson Tide 44-16 in the national championship game. This time last year, Trevor Lawrence wasn't even the starter, much less a national phenom. Despite not starting until Clemson's 5th game, Lawrence led the ACC with 30 passing touchdowns. And when you're that good, you probably send a whole lot of guys to the next level. Clemson's dominant defense lost 5 of its top 6 sack artists from last year and has plenty of spots to fill on the defensive front. Now, a lot of people feel like Trevor Lawrence is among the best quarterbacks in the country. One former national championship winning head coach thinks he might be the best.
Once you win it, everything changes. Yeah. And that's why you got to have great respect. The schedules line up, elite quarterbacks. It's very hard to repeat. And I think Dabo Swinney, as long as he can keep that team, the quarterback's the best quarterback in college football. However,
tweet. Meyer clarified his commentary on Lawrence in a tweet saying, Trevor Lawrence is an excellent QB. For clarity, I said the QB at Clemson is the best QB in college football. However, what about the rest of the team? Some folks, when they heard Coach Meyer speak, felt like he said Lawrence was the best college quarterback ever, and that is what he is clarifying. That's a guy that knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. He's coached some of the best in the history of the game. Okay, whether Lawrence is the best ever or the best now, fellas, he's really good. So where do each of you rank him among the current quarterback crop? Galloway, I'll start with you.
I would say he's in the top 3. I think you talk about Tua at Alabama will have an outstanding season. Justin Herbert would be really good. And I think Trevor Lawrence is in that conversation. When we see these guys at the end, and I think that's when you get a chance to see a guy like Trevor Lawrence take his team and get in the playoff and then make plays against defenses like Alabama and the way he played against Notre Dame automatically put him in that discussion of the best in the country. And he's throwing the guys like T. Higgins out wide that is like 6'5". And so he's in a position that he has so many weapons around him with Etienne in the backfield that teams will have to play Clemson's offense honest. You can't key on one guy. So Trevor Lawrence is set up to be one of the top couple, best quarterbacks in the country.
Marcus, he was really bold in that one right there, huh? One of the top 3, we'll put him up there in the conversation-ish. I'll put it to you like this. I have never seen a quarterback come into college football, and I ever went, that guy could be the number 1 pick right now and would have been the number 1 pick in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. Listen, we didn't even see his running ability last year much. You saw it a little bit in the championship game, but he can also run and lower his shoulder. His arm with his ability to anticipate and stuff. It's freaky. It's very rare, and he's the most talented guy in the country. I still think that numbers-wise, he might not be the best, but if I was starting a team and I had to pick one guy, I would pick Trevor Lawrence as my guy.
Behind Lawrence's stellar play, of course, Clemson goes 15-0. That's the first team to do that since 1897 when the mighty Penn Quakers did it. And when you're in that position, when you win 2 of the last 3 national titles, guys like Saban and Swinney, one of the most difficult things to do is convince 18 to 20-year-olds you can be beaten. So, Marcus, how does Dabo guard against complacency with all of that talent you guys just mentioned?
Well, first, Dabo has done a tremendous job getting to this point. And let's remember, this is not new territory for the Clemson Tigers. Obviously, everybody is excited about the end score of the national championship and saw Clemson even go to another level. But this team has been the focal of college football now here for the past 4 years. So guarding against complacency, I don't think that Dabo has to do that. His biggest defense now is trying to replace guys and play at the same level. Obviously, they've done that at the quarterback position with Trevor Lawrence, but you lose all of these defensive linemen this year. He's going to start losing guys early to the draft. This is the staying power. These are the things that Dabo Swinney have to defend against more than complacency. Here's the biggest misnomer. Everybody sees Dabo lighthearted and doing this thing on television and talking about how cool he is and sliding down his slide at the facility. Dabo gets after these guys in practice. Oh, yeah. He expects and demands for them to be great football players, not just good. So complacency won't set in.
Here's the thing, man. We've all been around talented teams, and Clemson's going to be so talented next year. You have to find leadership in the locker room. Christian Wilkins is one of the best leaders I have ever seen in my life. He understood it. Farrell's another guy that understood how to be a great leader. Productive players that made plays that were great leaders. That's what they got to find on the defensive side of the football. Here's another thing, too. Trevor Lawrence, he's not a loud guy. He's not a guy that's going to come in and be the guy that's going to rally everybody all the time. He's going to have to grow into that leadership role, too. The only thing that stops Clemson is the leaders have to be able to step up in that locker room and take control. You can have all the talent in the world. If you're not going to police each other and hold each other accountable, you're not going to win a national championship. So that's what they're going to have to find in Clemson.
Yeah, we talk about Clemson, they keep their coaches. Brent Venables has been there for a number of years now. And so it helps to keep your team locked in when your coaches are locked in and everybody's on the same page. The thing that we talk about Alabama and how impressive they've been in being able to win is because their coaches leave every single year and they have to reload at coach and at player. Clemson, not quite the same because their coaches have been with Dabo Swinney for a number of years and they love being there. It makes it so much easier to present a united front to your team and get that leadership in your locker room and your coaching staff because everyone's been there and they understand it and they're all on the same page.